Welcome to the Zweig Podcasts, putting architectural, engineering, planning, and environmental consulting guru Mark Zweig and his team of experts straight talk in your ear. Mark has more than 30 years of experience helping AEP and environmental firms thrive. And these podcasts deliver his invaluable management, industry, client, and HR advice directly to you, free of charge. The Zweig Letter and the Zweig Letter podcasts let you develop professionally, wherever you are.
Hey everyone, and thank you for joining Zweig Group Media and the Zweig Letter exclusive interview series. With almost 25 years of continuous coverage of the design industry, the Zweig Letter is a constant in an ever-changing marketplace. We are bringing you some of the best and brightest minds that our industry has to offer. Today, I am pleased to welcome Chad Clinehans, newly minted president and CEO of Zweig Group, based right here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, to the show. Chad, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Randy?
It's good to have you, man. It's so funny for the listening audience out there. I've been threatening Chad that I'm going to get him on the show, and everybody always hears Mark or hears some of these other CEOs that we invite to be on the interview series. But we're finally starting to make the rotation around all the different people in the office. And certainly, I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't have you on the show. Not only just given your position, but certainly you have so much to share that I could not wait to get you on this show and pick your brain dry. So hopefully we're gonna make an attempt to do that today. And so, why don't you tell the audience something about you that you'd just like to share with the audience in general?
Well, yeah, my new position is something I've been working for my whole life.
Okay.
It's something that back when I was in engineering school, I knew I wanted to do something in the engineering world, but do something that was just a little bit different and off track from the typical engineering career. And when I was a project manager and I was living over in Oklahoma and I saw that Mark Zweig had moved to Fayetteville, Arkansas, which was my hometown, I couldn't believe it because, Mark is a well-known icon in the industry.
Yeah.
And there was something about that night that I read that article that I thought, wow, this could be a possibility for me to get into something I've always wanted to do, which is consult to engineers and architects and professional service consultants in their business side, helping them grow, helping them to think different, helping them with their business side of their organization.
Yeah.
So really, it's something that somewhat of a calling. And I was certainly blessed to finally get linked up with Mark back in 2013, and he moved me back home to my hometown, and rebuilding this company here has been an exciting venture for me.
Okay.
And of course, last week his affirmation of me and helping me step up to something I've worked for my entire career is exciting. And I just think all of the possibilities it opens up as other people get to move up in this organization.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely exciting. I remember when you gave me the news of what the plan was, I was like, well, it's about time. I mean, that's you've kind of been operating in that. And I think a lot of us are operating sometimes even above our pay grade because we're just called to do so many different things to make this company successful. So I applaud you, as I know everybody else does here at Zweig Group. And we certainly are excited for what this next season of leadership will bring to Zweig Group. And I have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to be some pretty exciting stuff.
Well, Mark Zweig leaves huge shoes to fill. And of course, he's not going anywhere. He's going to remain heavily involved in the company and with our clients in the industry. And we need that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that he's had a huge impact and will continue to. And I just think what's happening here is going to help us all step up and evolve and grow and do some big new things that the industry needs.
Yeah.
There's some things out there that we can do that nobody else has done yet. And I'm really excited about that. And I feel better than ever with the team we've got to accomplish those things.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, that's awesome. My goal is to get that whole team on this podcast at some point in time so that our listening audience can hear from everybody. I mean, I think everybody has something to add to the conversation. And so I think it's really important for people to understand what the firm is all about, but also just kind of understand our philosophy and why we do what we do on a regular basis. So, well, without further ado, why don't you tell us a little bit about, because I know you stick your hands in a lot of different things here at Zweig Group, but I know one area that's really important, it's near and dear to your heart, which is kind of like the whole marketing and branding. And why don't you talk a little bit about that and about your role as far as that's concerned and what you've been able to do recently here at Zweig Group?
Certainly, that is important to me. It's what the industry sees of us and how they interact with us is something that is very important to me. Our outreach, for most of the time I've been here, has been based on email marketing.
Right.
And so many of the people that see what we do, they only get it through that one channel. Mm-hmm. And then there's a select group of our clients that interact with us and have been long-term clients that know Mark personally, and they get to see a whole nother side of Zweig Group.
Right.
So I know it's been important for us to expand our use of marketing channels, expand the brand, what it means. It's historically been aimed at the top CEOs and the C-suite, and we have owned that market for a long time. And now it's important for us to push down into the org chart and capture the hearts and the minds of a whole new generation of folks that are growing up in these firms that are hungry for leadership, hungry for growth opportunities, and they're wired different than the generation that's exiting the industry right now. And I think that presents an enormous opportunity for our company.
Yeah.
But in order to reach them, we had to expand outside of email marketing, which has become a lot more complex, those waters to navigate. ISPs have been getting very sophisticated and
spam,
right? All that kind of stuff. And we've learned a lot about ourselves, but also it's important to capture the people that are looking for us. And instead of just an outbound marketing strategy, more inbound, where people sign up and want to be informed of what's going on with our products and services. And we're only giving them exactly the dose they want and the exact formula of products and services that they want to learn about. So there's a lot going on here, and I've used the analogy. It's like taking the plane off autopilot and then rebuilding the plane on the way to the ground.
Right.
It's been like that because we were very reliant on really a small percentage of a high output of marketing material, and we're trying to reverse that where it's less marketing material, but much more impactful and wanted and valuable to the consumer.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that certainly makes sense. I actually had in a previous episode, I had a chance to talk to Christy Zweig, who is kind of like the director of marketing and a million other things here at Zweig Group. And she was talking about, I should have said Christy Zweig Niehaus, cannot forget her married name. But I remember her when she was just Christy Zweig, but that's another story. So she talked a lot about just the importance of the marketing apparatus within the design industry and why, just like we are kind of switching gears and doing things a little bit differently from an inbound marketing approach, many firms in our industry need to take that same blueprint and follow it because there's very little forgiveness in the marketing space if you're not marketing properly. You end up spending money and it becomes wasted dollars that don't ultimately bring you to the place that you want to be from a company perspective.
Absolutely. Everything that we have learned about ourselves and the steps that we've gone through are directly translatable to our clients, and it's something we can teach them and counsel them on best practices of email marketing and all of the different channels that you can leverage to expand your customer or your client base.
Yeah.
It has certainly been quite a journey, and we learn by doing.
Right.
Randy, that at the core of who we are is we are not philosophers or regurgitators of other content. We really develop all of our teachings, and our core philosophies are built from working inside firms and building our own firm.
Yeah.
In the industry. So, so that's something that's very important to us, and we want to share all of these things with our clients, and you'll see these things being integrated into our seminars and more of the content that we're putting out there.
Okay. Well, speaking of that, in terms of integration of new things, can you speak a little bit to? I know we just recently had a retreat last week, and so I know there's some big things coming down the pike for Zweig Group in 2017. And, a lot of times when people listen to this podcast, we usually have maybe a guest person on talking about their firm or just, a different idea in business. But why don't you just kind of share with the audience, because we don't really talk a whole lot about ourselves. We talk more about ideas and themes in the marketplace of the design industry. But why don't you just talk a little bit about where things are going with Zweig Group specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because maybe we don't talk enough about what we do, because it's astounding the number of phone calls that we get of people asking us if we do this service or have this product, and it's something that's been a part of our company forever. And although we consider ourselves somewhat of a household name in the industry, you saw from some of the research that we did what small market share we and everybody else that's providing this type of service to the industry really has.
Yeah.
So there's huge opportunity out there. One of the big things we're doing internally that was a result of that exercise is, really tying in and integrating all of our areas of business and really getting serious about cross-selling. It's the same conversation we have with clients. So as we're being transparent here, we suffer a lot of the same things that our clients do. And so we go through the same processes to improve ourselves that we're prescribing to them. It's
right.
The whole practice what you preach line that's important to us. But certainly I think just all of the responses that we got internally and for the audience, again, another one of our core beliefs is heavy in research. So everything we do is heavy in research and data collection. We want to deal with facts, again, not just philosophy. And so out of that, for us, it's integration of our services and products with each other, creating internal platforms to make communication easier. And the big thing, and I think the thing that our audience needs to know what is coming is for us, we are really going to own the mobile and the web channels. That's a goal of ours. It's an opportunity out there that still hasn't been seized, and we're building the team to do that. And I'm excited about that, about getting the information that we have into more hands. And it kind of speaks back to that going down into the org chart. I want to make heroes, out of people in this industry. I want the aspiring young engineer who's sitting in a meeting to be able to get on his mobile device and look up some industry stat and be able to present that to a board of directors or the folks in that meeting and impress them with his access to the information or her access to that information. So we really want to empower people with the information. We've got volumes and volumes and volumes of content.
We do.
Some of it is not well known. It's maybe hidden in books that were published 10, 15 years ago. All of it's still relevant. But we are on a crusade to make all of that content available to everybody.
Okay. Well, I certainly concur with you. And if nothing else, I think the mandate that we received from that our retreat last week was that we've got a lot of work to do.
Yes.
In front of us. So, it's good and it's good, it's bad. And then when you talk about great ideas, it's like, oh, that's a great idea. And then you're like, oh, crap, I actually have to do that now. So, but I think our clients deal with that same idea. They deal with that same sentiment. And it's just like, man, okay, we've sat around these boardrooms and these conference rooms and these meetings, and we've come up with all these fantastic ideas. And now we actually have to go out and execute.
Right.
And execution's key.
Yeah, and it is. It's a problem that we all have. We're busy, and that's good. A lot of our clients are busier than ever, and so these good ideas that come out of strategic planning requires a lot of execution and a lot of people working on them, and there's not a lot of time. So you have to be really intentional about adding those resources, and investing. And right now it's funny. We have people that approach us about helping them with a strategic plan, and it's either several reasons. First of all, checking a box, it's been 5 years, we need to do another one.
Right.
Or they're in a desperate situation, they're in a bad situation. But you don't get many people come to you that say, we're doing so well, we need to see about how we can do better. Why? It's because they're so busy.
Right.
And we're actually seeing the statistics trend now reversing, where we're starting to see worse performance on marketing and some of these other areas. Why? Because firms are getting stressed. They're not adding the appropriate resources. And while the workload is high, the attention towards business development and marketing and looking way out is shrinking, and their perspective is starting to be brought in. And it's about, how can I get the work done that has to be done today?
Yeah.
And client satisfaction is, of course, of paramount importance. We must continue to make clients happy in the industry, but we still got to be looking out there and preparing. And there's not a lot of that going on right now.
Right.
So it's important to digest information like this and consume and always have top of mind, how do I keep my business going and strong?
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about, because I know we have a number of events coming up this year. You'd come up with some really great programs that we're going to do, a number of new seminars in 2017, some that are open to the public, others that are privately branded in-house seminars for firms, which is something that we do here at Zweig Group. Tell us, what, and I guess it's all leading up to September of 2017, when we're going to have our Hot Firm event in Seattle, Washington, which I know will be a big event. And I've always likened Hot Firm to, the Inc. 500, 5000, but for the design industry. Mm-hmm. And the thing I've always liked about Hot Firm is that it really helps up and coming firms to look at the benchmark for what real success looks like in our industry for highly successful firms.
Well, training is big. I mean, it's huge. And our biggest survey that we have, the access to data we have, is our best firms to work for survey. Okay. And we get some 11,000 plus data points out of that. 11,000 employees, and these are all levels of the organization across the AEC industry. And training rises to the top of what really helps them score big, what helps these firms be perceived by their employees as the best place to work.
Yeah.
And so we've responded by adding several seminars to our slate this year, a new marketing seminar to complement the business development seminar. And for those listeners that aren't aware of this, we are very intentional about separating what marketing is and what sales or business development is in the industry, because those get commingled and people don't understand what one is or the other, and they don't understand what their investments are, and then they don't understand what the returns are. So marketing and sales, we're doing a new management and project management and leading teams.
Okay.
Our entrepreneurial firm seminar that we rolled out last year, which is really about showing it's really the best of everything we've seen and really based on Mark Zweig's experience and the best firms he's worked with, and really what they looked like all the way down to their core, the things they did that were different. So lots of things that we're rolling out there. And of course, like you said, it's all building up to our Hot Firm conference in September, which as part of our initiative to push our products down into the org chart and reach down into deeper down into the project managers, the project architects, all the way down. And we really even want to go all the way down into the universities. We're adding a young professionals track this year.
Okay.
Again, historically, the conference has been heavy in the C-suite, and that's been very powerful.
Right.
I think it's enhanced, though, by adding in the young professionals. We're going to have breakout sessions aimed at them. Again, we haven't had a large turnout in the past with that, but we're with those new breakout sessions, I think that'll help. Also, we really have an exciting program this year. We've got a day 3 after party where Coldplay is going to be playing there in Seattle, just blocks from our hotel. We've got the party buses lined up, and we're going to be shuttling folks for an all-day after party that culminates in this concert experience.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
at
amazing.
CenturyLink Stadium. So we're really excited. It's those types of kind of co-branding that really is going to cause those further down in the org chart to notice us and think about us differently. It expands the brand.
Yeah.
The brand perception. It's not just those emails that I keep getting on surveys. Now it's all these training seminars. It's wow, a conference that's like going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's not just, snoozing sessions, one after another and just, get through it.
Yeah.
We're big on experience, on creating an experience for these folks.
Right.
It's the food, it's the venue, and now it's going to be the party.
That's awesome. And I think, I think the beauty of that is that now this year, we're going to cover everything from baby boomers down to millennials in terms of the full gamut of who we're going to speak to. Whereas before it was just principals and shareholders and the leaders, the top tier of firms were opening it up to everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've seen this. This is a trend, and in years past, we're getting more and more interest from the C-suite, from the board, in what these other folks want and need. And so you're starting to see this commingling of these generations and more of an open-mindedness. Again, it just marks an exiting generation and a new generation coming in, and they are vastly different.
Yeah.
And there's a tremendous amount of interest in it. The sessions that were related to those topics, last year were filled to the brim. There were people standing against the wall.
I know.
So it's good stuff, but there's a real hunger for that information and that connection, and I think our conference will be enhanced this year with a more of a diversity of attendees.
Yeah.
I think everybody will benefit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, will there also be programs for spouses, or?
That's another good point there. This year we are adding a 2-day, we're calling it a concierge guided spouse experience.
Okay.
Spouse/guest experience. And so what it'll be, it'll be tours of Seattle and set up lunches and so forth. And so it'll, during the day when the attendees are in sessions, the spouse and guests can have this guided experience where they can see the best of Seattle and have that guided experience without just having to wander around and figure it out on their own.
Yeah.
So
and now it's my understanding that this is going to be at the Fairmont Hotel, which I believe is just like across the street and down the street from the market.
Yes, right.
Which is huge.
Pike's Market,
right?
Yes.
So
and the original Starbucks, which I'm sure will excite a lot of people.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know that we can promise that people will be able to catch salmon from their room, but they will be able to walk down the street and catch a salmon on the fly.
That's right. They will throw a salmon if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you want to catch that. But yeah, at least in my 4 years here, the highest ratings we got on hotel was when we were at the Fairmont Copley Plaza in
which
Boston.
was a really nice property.
Yes.
Right.
So this Fairmont is unbelievable. I've taken a tour of it, and of special note, this Fairmont is the #1 rated in food quality and in the entire Fairmont chain for like the 5th year in a row or
That's
something.
saying something.
And that's an internal thing that the staff shared with us. They're very proud of that. So the food should be amazing. The venue should be amazing. The room's amazing. And, hey, I don't know what the deal is with everybody says Seattle's rainy all the time. I've been there 4 times and the sun's shone every time.
I'm the same way. Every time that I've been to Seattle, the sun it's been absolutely gorgeous. So,
it's just the weather's fantastic there.
Yeah. So no, that's awesome. So, and also for those of you that are seafood lovers out there, if I remember correctly, I think I had dinner at their restaurant at the Fairmont Hotel in the downstairs level. And I think they have just an assortment of oysters and all kinds of bivalves. I mean, whatever you want, they have it. I mean, my mouth is almost watering just thinking about it right
Yes,
now.
it is.
So, and
Same here.
recognizing that this is not a food podcast, but I'm going to tell you right now, there will be some good eating done at the Hot Firm event in Seattle in September. So certainly want to encourage you to be a part of all that Zweig Group is doing there with Hot Firm and Best Firm to Work For, and all of the different awards that we will have at that event. Tell me a little, just speak a little bit to, I know mentoring is really important to you, and I know we've talked about that in the past. And as we hire new people on board here at Zweig, it's even more important to make sure that you take people under your wing and kind of walk them through the process. And you had a very special mentor as you were rising through the ranks at your previous firm, Garver.
Mm-hmm.
And, talk a little bit about that, the importance of the mentoring piece, because I think sometimes that's lost on leadership within the design industry, that because we're at such a zero-sum game when it comes to getting work done, and that's the focus, and we don't take the time for the other aspects of it, that, and I think we talked about this last week, that if you're not preparing for, someone to replace you, you're really not doing a good job about preparing the next generation to rise up and really lead your organization. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. There's been a lot of interest in mentoring in the previous decade, especially in engineering. And I know ASCE did a big push for mentoring, and I did a lot of research on it when I first got out of school and developed a formal mentoring program for my firm. And formal mentoring programs can be good, but really there's nothing that replaces just natural mentoring.
Yeah,
and it is hard to legislate that or to mandate that in an organization. But I did. My one of my mentors, I've had several, Brock Johnson. He really, I think, just looked beyond the level right below him and looked beyond that and said, who out there really wants to make a difference? And there was a big age gap. I mean, I was not the profile of the company executive, but
yeah.
was just barely a PE. So I was 4 years into my career, and that's young. And anybody on this listening to this podcast can probably understand it. We do have a problem in the industry with thinking you've got to have all of this experience, professional engineering or architecture, whatever it is, experience before you can take a leadership role. And there's a lot of missed opportunities there when we think like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of energy down into the org chart. Again, that's kind of one of the drivers of why we're trying to reach down in there, because we know there's a hunger for that. And he did. He had a big impact on me, empowered me to do some things and get out and sell when I didn't have the profile of a seller.
Right.
I can be a bit of an introvert, but I had a mission, and that was help the office that I was working in grow.
Right.
And there was nobody else stepping up, and I cold called, I drove around, I knocked on doors, and that's not fun for a lot of people, but it was hugely successful and was transformative for the office. And eventually I took over a corporate role where I was able to interact with Brock and the rest of the leadership team on a day-to-day basis. And I would just soak up anything they would give me.
Right.
And he was a powerful mentor, both professionally and personally, and was a good friend and a great leader. And I owe a lot to him. And when I came to work with Mark, I remember busting into his office about 4 months after I was here saying, Mark, I've got this great idea. We need to give an award away at our annual conference for courage and leadership. And I didn't say maybe those exact words, but I do think I used the word courage, because Brock was very courageous. He really transformed a company that was very set in the way they were going to do things, and he helped them think different and grow at a rate where in 5 years they did what they had done in the previous 87 years.
Wow.
They did that in just 5 years. And of course, Mark, when I busted in, he said, actually, we've already got this award. And it's based on my mentor, Jerry Allen,
right,
who you're familiar with.
Yes.
And when Mark and I started talking about Jerry Allen and Brock Johnson, we were shocked at the similarities, both in where they were born, their age. They were both died of cancer in office at the age of 63. Both of them had wives named Paula.
Yeah.
It was just, there's just all these
They're
crazy
both from Texarkana.
coincidences. Yes.
Yeah.
And so there were all these coincidences that we still today talk about. But so anyway, that award, when we give that out every year, it means, I think, as much to me as it does to Mark. And it's something that's very important in this industry, courage and the willingness to lead change. And because, again, we're technical professionals, design professionals are typically pretty conservative by nature. We like to do our due diligence on ideas and initiatives in the organization, and so change sometimes it's tough. Yeah. And so, but there are more and more out there that are leading change, and Brock is an example of many. But certainly, it's something that we're doing in our own company. I mean, we are evolving, as a first generation Zweig White owner, the differences and understand what really worked then
and what works
doesn't
now.
necessarily work now.
Yeah.
And even just some of the sophistications we had back then that were ahead of their time that now we need to catch up on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because technology is changing so rapidly. It's something that you have to daily, be monitoring and thinking about 10 steps ahead, not just the next 2.
Yeah, no, it's like you can't blink anymore for fear of change, because it's going to happen. It's coming for you whether you like it or not.
There is. And I'll tell you, the industry really is going to feel it. I mean, there's something building right now that we're sensing. We see it in the stats, and you can see it in the generational differences that there is some big change coming in the way people think about how they work, how they're employed by their employers, what that looks like, and how we staff projects, and what the contracts look like. So lots of stuff coming that I think is, we've got to prepare this generation for, how to make that transition. Yeah, no, I know I agree 100%. I think a couple of months ago, I wrote an article about how the gig economy is coming for the design industry. And that's, I mean, I don't say I'm a soothsayer or a fortune teller or anything like that. But the reality is that as you start looking at the statistics of how people consume information, how people prefer to work, and the way people work, which is, it's almost the opposite of the way this industry has been historically. There's going to come either a meeting of the minds or just a real smash up of the way people want to work and the way they want to do things and the way that we've always done things in the design industry. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't want to be on the sideline for that one. I think both you and I will be in the midst of that fray as we start to make sense of what that really means. But I would say the next 3 to 5 years are going to call for some drastic changes in the design industry. So you're absolutely, all that very well said. It is, you can see it coming. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, well, man, this has been great. I actually, this is more than I thought it would be. I knew it was going to be good, but I was telling you at the beginning that sometimes we have these conversations and they can go quickly, or they can take on a life of their own. And so this one is certainly taking on a life of its own, but I certainly want to preserve some more Chad for later. So I don't want to wear you out on this one interview because I want to have you back and to do some more in the near future. So we're doing something new here on the TZL interview series, and we want to go deeper for our audience and learn who the real Chad Clinehans is. So we have a couple of simple questions that we'll end our interview with, and hopefully we'll have some fun in the process. What was the last book that you read?
Right now I'm in the middle of leading change. Okay. As you can tell, it's a book I started.
You probably bought that book the other day, right? You were like, oh my gosh, this is what's happening. So
yes. Several weeks ago I started that. Before that, it was probably The Millionaire Next Door. Okay. It's a book I love because it's heavy in data. Yeah. If you've ever read that book, it's absolutely. I've read it twice. It's interesting, to look at how people build wealth and approach their careers, and just the whole world's and cultures and society's perspective on money. So that was a great book. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that's awesome. Where did you go on your last vacation? I think I know the answer to this, but why don't you share that with the audience?
The last vacation we did was to Sanibel Island, Florida.
Right.
Off
Okay.
the coast of Fort Myers.
Okay.
It's a little 4-day trip. Really nice to get away and
and recharge.
Recharge. So yes, it's one of my favorite places on earth. I love South Florida. I've said, hey, we're going to have an office down there.
We have to, or we should have a retreat down there or something. We got to figure something out. So
there's a lot of good firms down there that we work with, and that in South Florida, and so we can make a business case for it.
Oh, absolutely. I think so. Have everybody ride around the island on bikes and learn about themselves in the process.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be cool. If you could binge watch one TV series, old or new, what would it be?
Binge watch a TV series. Well, I'm right now waiting for the next season of House of Cards to be released.
Yeah. When is that happening?
I believe it's the beginning of March.
Okay.
So just a little over a month and a half to wait.
Okay.
So that's one of the ones I've been binge watching. I
talk about art imitating life, imitating art.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. That's funny. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see that. Any others, or is that's
the main one right now? I'm also waiting for the next release of Stranger Things.
Oh, I've heard about that. I've heard that's actually a really, really good show, but I have an addictive personality, so I have to be very mindful about which extra shows I pick up and binge watch. The nice thing is that nowadays, unlike in the past, you can watch everything at once. You don't have to worry about waiting and when's the next one coming out. So that's kind of cool.
Exactly.
So, well, I see you're a St. Louis Cardinal fan. Are you having big hopes for the 2017 season? Or
I do.
Yeah,
I do. And I'm wanting to do something this year I've never done, and that's take my whole family to a cards game.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I think that my girls are old enough that
they can appreciate it.
They can appreciate it. I think I'll have to get some seats that are sheltered from the sun and quick access to refreshments.
Take me out to
in order to keep everybody, from falling apart during that long game. Because
absolutely.
Baseball games are long, but it's certainly a love of mine. So.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Well, good luck to your Cards this year. I know your Cardinals are in the same division with my Pirates, so we'll see what happens. Everybody seems to be taking a second place to the Cubs, but. We'll see if history can repeat itself.
Yeah.
So, well, listen, Chad, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us on the Zweig Letter interview series. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So, folks, as a reminder, all Zweig Group media programs like this one are available in both podcast and, in most cases, video format, free of charge. You can download those on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, just to name a few places. We'd like to thank you for watching this in video or listening to the podcast by offering you a free copy of the Zweig Letter. Just visit freetzl.zweiggroup.com. A link to all of this information will be in our show notes, as well as Chad's contact information should you want to reach out to him and find out more about all the amazing things that are happening here at Zweig Group. And we certainly would love it if you would share this link with a friend, give us a rating on iTunes, anything along those lines, just to tell us what you feel and what you like or don't like about the podcast. We can take it. We're big boys and big girls here at Zweig Group. And without further ado, I'm Randy Wilburn, and you've been listening to Zweig Group Media, part of Zweig Group. Remember, we exist to make you more successful. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to this Zweig Letter podcast. We hope that you can apply the Zweig team's no-holds-barred advice to your daily professional life. For a free 6-week subscription to the Zweig Letter, please visit freetzl.zweiggroup.com to gain more wisdom and inspiration, in addition to information about leadership, finance, HR, and marketing your firm. Subscribe today.